Welcome to the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. You are now part of a small underground movement of dent technicians from all over the world. We are on a mission to change our industry with innovation, intelligence, and skill. But because we don't rely on an insurance company to steer customers our way, we need to do things different. We need to do things smarter. We do that through a network of technicians that we call the Tactical Tech Movement. Now let's get this revolution started.
Hey, Holmes, this is John Hiley with the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. I'm here to talk about Familia Raza Way. Introducing my little girlie over here, because I'm an Indian warrior with Angela Hiley.
Oh, that's a pretty good intro.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're just chilling here in Ohio, grilling out on the front porch, Holmes. What you got to say about that, huh, Buster? We're about to pull a Jack Moo on Spider.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So, everybody, it has been weeks, actually approximately 2 weeks and 1 day.
It's only been a week, hasn't it?
Well, technically 2 weeks since we dropped a podcast, because last week we did not drop one.
We were supposed to on Thanksgiving, but our bellies got too full and we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it just continuously got shelved. And we're like, let's just do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we had this whole idea that we were going to tell everybody, the things that we were thankful for. And we had this whole thing. And the next thing you know, we end up eating like all these sweets. And we end up eating like pretty much like half. I ate like half of a pecan pie.
I ate half of a pumpkin pie. Plus I cooked a 20-pound turkey. And we had these delicious, amazing homemade mashed potatoes I made and green bean casserole.
So all kinds of food. So,
Yeah.
And then you know how it is when you eat too much, you just feel like shit. You don't have any energy. And I got to say it was a rest that I needed before going into the weekend.
Yeah.
Which essentially turns out to be one of the most intense weekends would be the Mega Media event and then our Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the big giveaway.
Yeah.
Which essentially just keeps me rolling all weekend long.
Yeah.
And it's cool and it's fun, but it gets to the point to where when Monday gets here, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait till this thing is over with.
Yeah.
Just because of the amount of energy that it takes to keep it hopping the way that I try to keep it hopping.
Yeah. I like how everybody loves it. I think it's something that everybody looks forward to every year. And the contest that goes on, especially the ones that you put in the different groups where it's like the last comment wins. Yeah. Is... And
admittedly, I force myself sometimes because it gets so overwhelming, so many things that we give away, and I'm going live so many times because I know how important it is for a lot of people out there. Everybody reaches out, they think it's and they feel like it's one of the fun weekends of the year. It's kind of became a tradition. So because of that, I push myself through to create that high vibe as possible. So I literally could be feeling like shit one of them days.
You had a cold.
Yeah, I ended up getting a cold and felt like shit and felt like, but you can't tell when I come on camera. Even when people mention that my voice had changed and that I was getting, stuffed up during
You were very nasally.
I just ignored all of them comments because, I knew that regardless of whatever I was going to do, I was going to show up and give my A game no matter what. And, a lot of times that's what life is about. It's about, anybody can do it on the days that you're motivated. Anybody can do it on the days that, you wake up, you feel great, the sun's shining. But in all honesty, it's the champion inside of us that can do it on the days where you don't feel like doing it. Mm-hmm. The days where you feel like shit. The days where ultimately that's where you're going to be able to distinguish somebody who's a high performer versus somebody who is just average. Ultimately, that's really what it comes down to because if you're only going to be able to perform on the days that you feel good and you're only going to be able to do things on the days you feel like doing them, then you're going to be average at best. Yeah. You're going to be average at best.
Hey, why don't you tell everybody how much Lily loves turkey? Like, every year she knows, like, when Thanksgiving comes around and she knows that I pull this big thing out of the refrigerator and like, rub olive oil all over it and season it up. And when it goes into the oven, tell everybody how she gets.
Yeah, she gets pretty excited.
How excited does she get, though? What was she doing to you?
She was actually trying to wake me up while I was asleep. So,
when I was
our little miniature schnauzer was literally walking up and patting me on the side, and she never does that. And she'll just walk up to me and kind of like, smack me on my shoulder and tell me to wake up because she wants more turkey.
Yeah, Lily loves turkey. And then tell them about Layla. Layla ate so much Thanksgiving food, like turkey and mashed potatoes and crescent rolls. Like, she ate so much that she couldn't eat anymore, and she still had a plate outside, and she was like drooling, but she couldn't bring herself to eat it.
Yeah, that rarely happens with our American Bulldog. She's like 90 pounds of solid muscle, and she's the sweetest thing ever, but she literally, it doesn't matter how much you feed her, whatever, she'll still whimper and whine and act like she's been so neglected and mistreated and all this kind. I mean, you could do anything for that dog, and she's not content with...
She's never satisfied.
She's never satisfied, but we've actually got her to the point. There was 2 times. There was one time where we fed her a couple pounds of salmon that was cooked, and this time where she was actually satisfied. And she didn't look like a grumbling dog, like one of them ones on the commercials, that... And the funny thing is, she will look like a dog when you're not looking at her. So if you sneak around and you look at her, she'll do dog things. She'll run around, she'll look at things. She'll, hunt, she'll follow animals if she's a squirrel or something like that.
Yeah.
But as soon as she notices that you're looking at her, her whole face changes to like little Timmy outside of the window who just wants one little crumb. Can you please give me just one little crumb? It doesn't matter if you just fed her 2 cheeseburgers. It doesn't matter if she eats steak all the time.
Yeah.
Like, none of that matters. But the moment she sees that you're looking at her, she starts sniffling up. Her lips start flaring. She starts the equivalent of crying outside.
Yeah.
And it's like literally just a show that she puts on to get more of anything she can possibly get.
Yeah. I wish you could have remembered some of the shit that you were saying. Like, you were like talking like Layla's voice, like what she was saying like inside her head. Oh my god.
Yeah, she literally like got to the point where she didn't even finish her plate. Which is a rare sighting, that she would just leave food sitting there and not eat it,
I know.
And that being said, though, we had a great Black Friday, Cyber Monday event. If any of you guys followed that on Facebook, I do believe everybody had an absolute amazing time.
Yeah.
We had a really good sale for the tactical tools.
Yeah.
And we're getting a lot of people on board. A lot more tool companies after this year are going to be coming on board for Dent Trainer discounts.
Ooh.
So I really think that a lot of the tool companies are seeing the value of aligning themselves with kind of like our cross-promotional deals. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. And then on top of that, in Dent Trainer, we're also going to be doing monthly giveaways. So, and I honestly, I think the only reason we did not do that before was just, we knew that we wanted to do monthly giveaways a while back, but we just kept putting it off. But ultimately, it really doesn't take much to make it happen. So what I just decided, I did the one thing that I do best, is just promise everybody that I'm going to do it. So that way I hold myself accountable, because I fucking promised everybody.
Yeah, you can't break a promise.
Yeah, and ideally, I think that sometimes you got to do that, Yep. Like I tell people when we first, Mike, he first came up with the idea of the Mega Media event, for instance. I kind of got it, but I was like, and we wavered. I kind of wavered for months, and he kept coming back to me and saying, John, this idea, I got this great photographer. Here's the shots that he did, gave me and all this. And then finally he's like, he hit me up again, I think a third time about it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to push back, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm just going to sell this thing. So I think that weekend I created a funnel, which is the equivalent of basically a sales portal online. So we use funnels to sell things online, and developed a funnel and launched the Mega Media event. And we literally sold it before I had a really 100% good idea of, sold it out before I had a 100% good idea of what it was going to be.
Yeah.
So, but what that does is that puts you in the position of like, okay, well, now we sold the event out. We had a general outline of what we knew, what we wanted to accomplish with it. Now, how do we build it and how do we framework it and create it, you know? And I think the learning lesson behind that is that there's times that I see so many entrepreneurs waver over things because they think they have to have everything absolutely perfect. They think the moon and the stars got to align and everything has got to fall in such a perfect place, and they got to feel so comfortable, not only financially but mentally and physically, and all that stuff.
I don't think that ever happens. It's just not reality.
All of it's like a bunch of horse shit. It's a fear. It's all fear based. There's fears associated with that stuff. Hey, man, you know, what if I create an event and then nobody buys a ticket and nobody shows up, right?
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is nobody will be there to tell anybody.
That's true.
You know, and I mean, it's like we have all these fears inside of our mind when it comes to launching or doing anything.
Yeah.
That it holds us back from really yielding our full potential. So one of the things that I kind of live by is that as soon as I think about it, I'm just going to make it happen and I'm going to do it. And, you know, for instance, we're working on something that's a little bit private, but I'll just give you guys a quick briefing. So we launched our first mastermind group at the Mega Media event. We sold our seats out. The seats are exclusive, meaning they got a 50-mile protection radius around their location or wherever they service that no other dent company can actually. We can't have two companies in the same area.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't work, and it would kill the vibe of the group, and it would kind of like, we didn't want anybody to be shelled up. And
yeah, I'd put a damper.
Yeah, so unfortunately we could only allow one person per 50-mile radius, and we sold it out. I mean, we sold it out immediately, almost, at the Mega Media event. And it's a higher ticket item. It's not for the average Joe, you know. But you know, one of the things that I did was we've had an idea to do this specific thing wrapped around content in our industry, because that's like the big issue. It's like, okay, well, I know what I should do, I know what, you know, but how do I create the content? How do I get the content to keep a steady flow of leads? How do I get content to make Facebook posts? How do I get content to make videos? You know, how do I do it? So we had this idea, and I promised it early on to our mastermind group, which basically forced me into the development phases, where it's actually going to be launched internal inside of there in the month of December. And we've already got my project managers from two different, I actually got 4 different segments that I'm dealing with right now, project managers that are working with basically 4 different teams in the development phases of a project that we've literally been talking about for a year. What do? You promise people that you're going to deliver, and it puts pressure on yourself to focus on what the deliverables are and how you are going to deliver them deliverables.
Is deliverable a word?
Deliverable is a word.
It is?
Yeah. Deliverability. If it's not a word, it's my new word.
That's fine. I was telling John, I was talking about his YouTube videos that he does, and I was like, you know what? I was like, your videos are like really awesome, but I feel that sometimes you kind of are like, you don't put your humor, your funniness.
Yeah. You know, and I get that too, because, you know, when she said that, I know that it's really good to have somebody close to you that kind of understands your strengths and your personality and your weaknesses as well. And to look and listen to the things that you're doing and accept that as, you know, and it's true. I actually thought about that.
Because John, you're naturally funny, and you just have this really funny sense of humor.
See, now you put me on the spot where I'm not going to be able to be funny during this podcast.
Yes, you will, because it comes just.
I do not know. I will have to talk like this the whole time.
Sometimes I feel like
I am a robot.
Listen, sometimes on your YouTube videos, I feel like you kind of talk like that, and I'm like, why can't he just naturally flow? Like,
maybe I'm trying to ease into the YouTube audience. I'm like, I know you, but I don't know you.
But what I've noticed, that people love your sense of humor, and when you And when you're like that, they just really gravitate towards you. They feel comfortable. They don't feel like they feel like they can, how do I want to say it? Like, open up to you. Do you know what I'm saying?
And it's so funny because ideally, that might be my disconnection here, and I'll give you guys kind of a little hack if you all are literally like doing videos now, or if you are doing anything like, I'm doing podcasting right now, whatever you're doing, you specifically want to think of one person, like you're talking to one person.
Yeah.
So typically that's your ideal client, your ideal customer. So if you're doing paintless dent removal videos, you're trying to attract people that are your ideal clients and customers, like how you would talk to them face to face in a conversation, in a good conversation.
I'm not saying like be corny and whatnot, but just your natural sense.
Well, I'm not saying be corny either. I'm talking about specifically though, focusing on talking, instead of talking to a broad audience.
Yeah.
Picture and envision that you're talking to one specific type of person.
Yeah.
Because ideally, you want to be talking to that person, because if that's the one you're attracting, and then if you're trying to attract that specific type of person, you're going to want to kind of like envision that you're talking to them.
Yeah.
And, it's a good point that was brought up because, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, if you go out there in the public arena and you're an asshole and you're somebody who is, jealous, if you're somebody who is bitter, if you're essentially a hater. See, well, the funny thing is, like, all the people who are actually haters, they don't think they're haters. They think they have haters. But because they actually hate everybody, they classify themselves as haters. But the truth of the matter is, because they're doing that in that manner, in that fashion, they only attract the exact same type.
Yeah.
So whatever, your vibe is your tribe. Whatever you're going to go out there and however
I have a hat that actually says that.
Oh, you have a hat that says that?
I'm
Good.
I think I do.
Well, I made it up, so I should be getting royalties.
I'm pretty sure I have a hat that says
so
that.
you got to be careful. It's like the way you're talking to people or the way you're interacting, regardless if it's online, regardless if it's in person, that's still energy that's being pushed out into the world. And that energy is going to attract the exact type of energy that's going to associate itself with it. Mm-hmm. So maybe my YouTube, I'm just attracting a bunch of lamos who like robotic John.
No, because...
I'm going to fucking spice shit up on there.
No, because there was a couple of videos...
I'm going to do something naked.
No, they're not... Did you say naked?
I'll blur some things out.
No, nobody needs...
No, then I'll get a bunch of naked dudes. Next thing you know, I'll be attracting like these... what are they? The nudist colony people? So that's not good. No, wait a second. I don't want nudist people showing up. And...
No, nobody needs to see you naked. No.
Well,
I'm the only person
you
that
said
wants to
loosen up, and that was the first thing that came to mind.
No, but I remember over the wintertime, there was some of the videos that you did, and your humorous personality came out, and it was really good.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you guys seen this, but over the weekend I dropped something, and it really worked well. I'm telling you guys, the marketing campaign for the Gorilla Grip was all about, there was that Burger King commercial back in the day about the dude that had really tiny hands.
Yeah.
And everybody was, asking the guy if he wanted to go to BK to get a flame broiled burger.
A Whopper.
Or a Whopper. And he was like, nah, guys, I'm sorry. He goes, I think I'm going to go to McDonald's and, maybe get a cheeseburger because of these tiny hands.
Yeah.
And if you got a BK flame broiled burger that was in the commercial, according to the commercial, was twice the size of a McDonald's comparable burger.
Yeah.
It literally would make his hands look even tinier.
Yeah.
So I'm running these campaigns right now with the Gorilla Grip that the Gorilla Grip is not for tiny hands.
Yeah. No, that's fucking awesome.
It is hilarious because as soon as I ran that, it's almost like some jolt in the universe came out where I called everybody who felt like they didn't have tiny hands to buy one.
Yeah.
And we sold a shitload of Gorilla Grips after that campaign.
Yeah.
And part of that is being memorable, but you guys also know what people associate with tiny hands.
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, the Gorilla Grip. Not for tiny hands.
You know what, though? It makes me wonder because, you can take... your foot will fit in this part of your arm, where the dip is, to there. So that's the length of your foot.
To your wrist. The dip right there in your corner to the wrist. Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, with a man with their hands, if their one thing is not, from here, like what's this part? Okay, here's your palm. So this would be
the bottom of your palm. I don't know.
The bottom of your palm all the way to the tip of your middle finger. I wonder if that shows like that's the length of your thing when it's like fully.
Oh.
I wonder if it is though.
I don't know. I don't know if I 100% believe in all them hand length things.
But I wonder if it is true though.
Well, then the Gorilla Grip is not for tiny hands. Just so you know, I can't really hold the Gorilla Grip because it'll just make my hands look so tiny. I think I'm gonna stick with this A1 handle that's already on there.
But don't they? But did they? But with that one commercial that Burger King didn't they come out with the Junior Whopper? Was that
something
for the
like
tiny
that?
hands
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something?
something like that. And I'm not making fun of A1 tools because they make some badass tools, but that machine lever handle, it is for tiny hands. Period. I have literally tried to push a dent out with that thing, and that's what caused me to create the Gorilla Grip.
Yeah. But and all they like a lot of people they buy the Gorilla Grip and then they go to A1 Tools and then they buy
a shitload of the tools.
Exactly.
So it works out for both companies when people do that, and same thing with the Dent Reaper. I mean, he kind of contributes, and John love you to death, and I hope you don't mind. I told him, but he hit me up and let me know that he contributed, a lot of the stuff that we helped him over the weekend, and selling a bunch of stuff over Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
He is a good dude.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He is just a really.
He's an awesome guy, but the cool thing is, I mean, that Dent Reaper is fucking boss on a Gorilla Grip.
Yeah.
You keep a A1 handle on there, you got something of like a halfway mediocre tool. Like guys like Bryce Kelly couldn't even really use them with the A1 adjustable handle on them.
Yeah.
And I think it says it best if you go to my YouTube channel and look at Bryce Kelly's video. He goes, "Where was this?" Because now he's using that Dent Reaper all over the car.
Yeah.
And you put a full-size extension Gorilla Grip on it, you got a fucking war machine in your hands.
Yeah.
And you use a T-handle, you turn that sucker into a fender tool, into a rear quarter panel leverage tool. I literally took the Dent Reaper and used it from the hood. I had a Miata in there that had somewhere the nature of like 10 dings on it. It was one of them sweet jobs, honestly. It was like 10 dings, none of them was in super bad places, and it was like $600.
Yeah.
So you guys know how that is. That's probably like one of the sweet spots in what we do. And so I go through this thing, and I'm using it on the fenders, using it on the rear quarter panels, used it on the hood. I didn't even use another tool. Used it on the doors to fix the door dings. I didn't even pull out another tool out of my arsenal. I just used the Gorilla Grip T-handle and the Dent Reaper, and then I also used the Gorilla Grip regular handle on the Dent Reaper.
Yeah.
So all I did was switch two handles through the whole thing. And ideally, I think what people, you got to understand, that's my whole idea with the tactical dent tool line, is I don't want to amplify what people carry around. I want to minimize what guys carry around.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking at things. I don't look at things like how can I stock, a 50-piece tool set. I look at how can I take a 50-piece tool set and reduce it down into a 25-piece tool set.
Yeah.
And, what do we got to do that? Because, what makes sense as far as keeping the speed level high and reducing hand fatigue. There's factors there that I see my advantage when it comes to, marketing my handles. And then also soon to be, I'm going to be making actual tools.
Yeah, and also, I would think that a lot of you dent guys out there are probably not very organized.
I'm not.
I know you're not, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of other dent guys that are not very organized. And
praise Jesus for you dent guys that are. Because, I know that I spent a long time. There was one time I did the dumbest thing for a few years. I had 4 dent removal carts in my shop. And I literally was misplacing tools all day long. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember a lot of times where I left my tool last. So I'm constantly going from cart to cart to cart. And it seemed like I would look through all the carts and I would go back to my first one and it would be on there. Mm-hmm. And whatever, I just overlooked it, So that being said, I've became quite a bit organized since I started storing my tools on the walls.
Yeah.
I do have 2 carts. I got one that's specifically for glue pulling, and I got one that's specifically for a roll-around cart with tools on it. Mm-hmm. But all the tools have their place now. And I still got to force myself, though, at the end of the day, because my tools end up on my glue cart, and they end up getting the two carts start blending together by the end of the day. And I actually I have to force myself at the end of the day to clean everything up.
That's good, because I know you're doing something that you really don't want to do.
Yeah. But that being said, I'm looking to fix that for me as well. Does that make sense? Because I got quite a few tools on my cart, a lot more than I would like to have. Mm-hmm. And I want to minimize that, and I want to minimize the way that I select them as well.
Yeah.
So there's some things that we're doing there that I think is going to be quite interesting for the future of this. And ideally, I just believe that if we're at the point now where if you pump something into the market, I think you should be looking at a few things as like, how can it really benefit the end user? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at what kind of efficiency can I push into the market? Can I couple a system with this set? Because coupling a system with something is super important. I want to say Max from the Hail Trainer, he actually spoke at our Mega Media event. Love Max. He's a funny, awesome guy.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
He's really smart. He's very organized, very very strict in business. He's a smart guy, And ideally, one of the things that they talk about on the Hail Trainer is, or whenever he does his seminars, is the organization part of that. Like, how organized are you? How organized is your workspace? And they actually give tips and tricks and stuff like that to make it just things run fluently and seamlessly. And that's some of the things that I feel that in the future that all of us should definitely consider, especially in a day where our tool sets are getting so bloated that you got a set with 100 different tools in it.
Nobody likes to feel bloated.
It's like, how do you reduce that number down to something?
Exactly, and by reducing it, it's going to be less stressful.
Or at least have a go-to set that's much smaller and store the other ones somewhere as more of like a when needed type situation.
That's true.
Because I do want to say there's probably times, I know I've got tools that I don't touch maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Mm-hmm. When I do need them, they come in massively. Like, I know when I need that tool. I see that dent, I'm like, yes, I need this tool for that dent, And that being said, there's definitely room for that. But I do think there's room for being super organized and just creating something that adds value to everybody's day in life. If you can, and we talked about this on, I was on a podcast with Mike, his Dent Time podcast. And one of the things that we talked about was specifically that people look at tools sometimes as spending money, but ideally, you should look at that as an investment, especially your tools. Anything that you buy should, at the end of the day, be making you money.
Yeah. Did you see those? I don't think they're out yet, but those Galaxo tips. Have you seen those?
Yeah, but I don't think we can talk about them.
Oh, we can't?
No.
No, but Mike has it on Instagram.
Oh, did he put it on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can talk about them,
They're
I guess,
on Instagram. I seen a picture.
I'm pretty sure that I have some inside of that shipment.
Well, I seen a picture of them things, and I'm like, those are fucking gorgeous. The package and those tips, like, they are beautiful. I mean, that is...
Galaxo is doing some things next level quality.
That is beautiful. In all honesty, like, if I was a dent person, I think I would want to have one of those just to have, like, in a showcase. Like, it is...
Right.
That's like the designer handbag, that you're like oohing and ahhing over because
I'll say something you guys can relate to. The Ed Brown custom made, 1911.
They are gorgeous. I mean, they are really.
They do look that amazing.
Gorgeous.
You don't believe it or not. I know that I got a set in there. I just haven't dug through and opened it up.
Those are gorgeous.
So we got $2,400 worth of cold glue from Galaxo donated from the sale.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that I did not give all of it away. So we're going to be doing some Dent Trainer giveaways with the Galaxo glue. And I'm almost certain that she told me that new tip set was in there somewhere.
Well, there is 2 packages that I took out, and I thought that they were the one thing, so you might want to open them up and look at it. But they are... I mean, they're gorgeous. Like, if you follow Dent Time on Instagram, Mike, check them things out. They're gorgeous.
I would almost think that they're titanium, the way that
Yeah. It's got like that rainbow in it.
Yeah, titanium does that, guys. It's the craziest thing. The one thing that I made, we actually made titanium tactical original knuckles. And the titanium knuckles were insane whenever you heated it with a torch. Mm-hmm. When you actually heat it with a torch, it glows almost like a red-purple color and just starts changing and it becomes like translucent where you can kind of see through the metal. It's insane. And then as it cools, it changes different colors based on, I would imagine how quickly it cooled.
They're beautiful.
But that's one of the things you can do. You can actually kind of blue the ends of anything that's made out of titanium. But what a lot of people don't realize is titanium is actually flammable. So, yeah, it's when I was bluing the ends of the knuckles, it would almost light up like a sparkler.
What did you just say?
It's flammable.
No, I know, but what did you just say?
When I was bluing the ends.
Oh, I thought you said
not blowing. When I was blowing the ends of them knuckles.
I was like, what did you just say? I'm like, hold on, rewind, repeat that again.
Yeah, well, when I was torching, as I was bluing the ends of them knuckles, it literally, the machine shop, it was hilarious. When I went there, they had a bunch of the titanium kind of shards sitting there.
I told the story before, but it's...
Well, not everybody remembers every story we told before, you turd.
I know, but I'm just picturing this because I've never met the older man that...
But anyhow, he picks up the shards of titanium and just lights them on fire.
Yeah.
And, he was telling me about how they had to kind of reduce the speed of the way the machine cut the titanium for fear that it could catch the machine on fire.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the things. But he was just like, but I risked it. I went ahead and risked it anyway.
Yeah, but when you went in there and he was talking to you, did he have his shirt off smoking a cigarette?
That time I can't remember. They're kind of hilarious. They love me in there. The old man especially. I went in there, really motivated him the other day. Got him thinking about implementing systems and procedures and getting other people to do shit for him.
You are so, obsessed with these systems now. It's like...
Well, that's amazing. All I do. I mean, if I do something, I create a system for it so it can be duplicated, and some of the staff that I work with can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they come at me and they have a question, and I don't just answer it, I answer it by creating a system for them. Mm-hmm. And this way, I only have to answer the question once, and then I give it to them. And if it doesn't work, I ask them what they didn't understand, and then they help actually strengthen my systems.
Yeah. In
all honesty, guys, it's the way that you need to think if you ever want to get past the one-man band operation, thing. If you're a one-person operation and you want to grow and get bigger, then you have to. It's a mind shift. Mm-hmm. We've actually talked about this. I'll go over a little bit with you guys. I believe there's like a hierarchy in paintless dent removal. And in this hierarchy, I would say at the very bottom, at least people that I've trained before, I can walk somebody into the market on their first year, and I can have them making anywhere from $75,000 to $125,000, mm-hmm. And that's on their first year. There's a lot of learning experience there. As long as they hustle, as long as they work for it, as long as they put in the dues, and they're somewhat inclined to pick it up, they can do that. They can produce that. But the deal with that is, if you're at that level, the only support you need is kind of some basic tools, a decent set of tools, but more on the basic level. And you need potentially a website if you're going after some retail clients, stuff like that. So there's that level right there in paintless dent, and more of like an entry level. We'll say more of like an amateur level, mm-hmm. And you get into the second level, which let's just say it's a journeyman level, right? And at the journeyman level, you're making anywhere from 125 to, let's just say 175, mm-hmm. Okay? So you're at this journeyman level of how much money you're making there. And at that level, you've done some things different. Maybe you've implemented some systems. You've got a website that you've worked on that's creating more retail leads. You've kind of expanded your tool set and your arsenal to include some things maybe for like hail damage repair, some just to make things easier from your day to day. So you're starting to expand there. Maybe you've got a logoed up truck. You're doing some good things with your advertising and stuff like that. But you're working hard to make that money. You're not all retail. Maybe you're a mixture of the two. And then you got your next level that you hit like 175. That I would go as far that this second or this third tier, where you could say would be the second, third tier would be say a craftsman level, right? And at that craftsman level, you're making anywhere from 175 to, I would go all the way as far, depending on your market, up to maybe 300, and maybe 350. In fact, I would say even up to 400. So let's just say 175 to 400, and you're at this craftsman level. And at that level, you do have to have some pretty good, if you're doing it and you're not killing yourself day in and day out, working 12-hour days, and you're doing kind of what I was doing back in the day and doing like a lifestyle thing where I was working 4 days a week. But I had systems in place. So I had my wife here answering the phones and scheduling, doing this phone calls, doing the scheduling for me to keep things fluent on that end where I was able to make more money. I didn't have to focus on that any longer.
Yeah, it was a nice flow.
She was doing the scheduling for me, meaning, all of that was done on one end. I usually had anywhere from I usually had an employee with me. It could be anywhere from 1 to 2 guys at a time. And, an employee could range from anywhere from a guy fixing dents for me to an individual doing nothing but R&I or unloading my truck and loading my truck and doing stuff like that. But it was really a lifestyle level where, I wasn't pushing too hard to grow the business, but I had enough support systems around me. I had websites that was bringing in continuous leads. I was doing nothing but retail, making my own schedule, doing all this stuff, making per se doctor money. But the truth of the matter is you can either do one or two things. You can stay at that level, and if you decide to stay at that level, you're always going to feel something inside of you wanting to go to the next level. You'll always want that because you do have like freedom at that level, but it's more along the lines of freedom where I can buy a house, I can buy a couple cars, but I'm never going to be driving a Lambo, or I'm never going to, maybe buy the house of my dreams, or I'm never going to be able to take 2 months off vacation, whatever it is that you dream of. That's bigger than that, you're going to be kind of limited a little bit there.
Yeah.
But you're going to be living a good life, man, a good life. But what I was told by some very, very intelligent, specifically one person, very intelligent individual who I use continuously as a mentor, and he's a multimillionaire, and he told me that you have to, if you want to stay at that level, you have to get like a hobby or something like that you can form mastery around. He said, because the urge inside of you to go to the next level will never be fully, quenched. Your thirst will never be quenched at that level, especially if you get that entrepreneur DNA running through you, unless you form mastery around something. He was like, I don't care what it is, whether it's, shooting guns or whether it's, karate or, whatever it is, right?
Karate?
something you want to form some mastery around, because ideally what you're doing is you're limiting your potential to grow. And what I truly believe is you're limiting the spirit inside of you that desires more to grow. And I'm going to go full circle around with this and then what we found is that from 400, or let's just say it could be anywhere from 275 to 400, all the way up to, $1 million. There's a danger zone right there that you get into.
Yeah.
When you get near $1 million and you're floating in the 700-800 range, where you're in a danger zone unless you switch the way that you think, okay? Unless you go from you leave the technician mindset and you go to the entrepreneur mindset. So you're almost to the point to where a lot of people get to that, if they actually can get to that level with the same technician mindset, where they're working inside of their business rather than on their business, and they're making anywhere from $400 million a year, but they're literally usually walking on what I would call like a house of cards. And we've seen this time and time again where there's no systems in place. Everybody that's working with them, it's just a fly by the seat of your ass operation. And they're just trying to hire as many people as they can. They're trying to keep lead flow in, but they don't understand, like, they wake up in the middle of the night, they're terrified, like, tomorrow, what if if a customer doesn't call in tomorrow, then my whole operation shuts down. I mean, there's all these aspects that need to be operated by somebody who owns a business rather than somebody who's working in a business.
Yeah.
Meaning that they need to step out of being like, let's just say it's a car, okay, and they're one of the moving parts inside the engine. They need to step out from being one of the moving parts inside the engine and actually get behind the steering wheel and understand how to drive the car.
Yeah.
Meaning, they need to understand all the switches in that car and how to utilize them and use them and move them forward.
Yeah.
So it's a paradigm shift at that level. And I would go as far to say that, we want to say something like, okay, our Creator created everything that we see, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that our Creator is laboring to lift the sun? Mm-mm. Do you think that our Creator is laboring to, lift the moon? You think the Creator is out here laboring to grow a tree? Mm-mm. Well, that's the Creator who created us, because we're the only thing that was created in the image of the Creator. So because of that, we have the nature of the Creator inside of us, meaning that we're almost like trying to create a miniature world of our own around our own ideas, okay? So the business that I'm talking about creating when you're stepping out and going to the next level is more along the lines of creating your own world that runs and thrives without you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have the same desire as what created everything inside of us.
Yeah.
That has to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why he was talking about forming something of, if you decide to stay at the 400 level or the 300 level, doing something in your life that requires some sort of mastery, because if you're not being challenged and you're not feeling growth on a daily basis, then you're not going to feel fulfilled as an individual, because that creative part inside of you that's created by the Creator is always going to feel like it's being held down.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where systems and processes come in play, because that's how, look, everything that we have, you don't have to look far to see a system. I mean, we're talking about the ecosystem. You're talking about it rains and the rain hits the ground and it goes and absorbs into the grass and the grass grows. And I mean, and then the cows come and eat the grass. I mean, it's the most elegant system ever built.
Yeah.
Our world is the most elegant system. So we're only trying to emulate what we're actually living in. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the universe as a whole, it even goes down to the entire universe that we can even that we can see. Literally, you can break down into something the size of an atom. Mm-hmm. It all emulates itself. Mm-hmm. So by us having the creative abilities, you think about it, we're the only creature, or whatever you want to call us, creature, animal, human, whatever, but we're the only thing in this world that can actually create like the Creator. Mm-hmm. We're the only one that can take this stuff around us and build it into something.
Yeah.
That's different from the stuff. So because of that, we're going to have the inherent desire to create a world that moves and runs without us. Mm-hmm. And that's the pinnacle idea of where the mind shift has to be made as the person who drives the car rather than one of the cogs in the engine. Because if you're one of the cogs in the engine and you're building this empire, eventually you're going to break down. There's nobody driving the car. There's nobody who understands how to drive the car.
Yeah.
So the car is just going to destroy itself, and then on top of that, you're going to destroy yourself with it because you're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel burnt out, right? You don't want that. You've got to step out of. If you decide to take and go to that next level, which we have entrepreneurs in our mastermind that are at that next level, people that are working right alongside me, they're in the next level and they're moving even further and bigger and better, deeper into that next level. And if you decide to do that, you've got to understand that the way that you thought to get yourself to where you're at today is not the way that you need to think to take yourself to the next level.
Yeah.
So when she said earlier, to go full circle with this, that I'm all about the systems, that's because that's the way that you need to think to go to the next level. It's never about when something occurs to me like I need to do something. It's never like I need to do it. It's like, how can I improve the system? I think of things in 3 ways. How can I do it? Can I eliminate it from my day? Right? So can I eliminate it? Does it bring value to whatever I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Because I look at that. Any task that I do, can I eliminate it? Number 1. Can I automate it? Number 2. We're in a day where automation is just, I automate shit all the time. I just completely automated a shipping system inside of our company today in 30 minutes. Okay? So can I eliminate it? Can I automate it? Or do I have to delegate it? Or can I delegate it, okay? Or is it something that I enjoy doing? Mm-hmm. Because you never want to deprive something of something you enjoy doing. Yeah. But here's the thing. If you don't enjoy doing something, it's the world telling you that eventually you need to outgrow that position and put that hat on somebody that it does. They do want to do it. They are the best at it, right? Because you're not going to be the best at something you don't enjoy.
That's true.
So you're always trying to, and I'm not saying you don't have to sometimes clean up the shit, because of course you do, and sometimes you do, right? But if you're cleaning up the shit and inside your mind you have a bigger vision and a bigger goal in mind, like I'm cleaning up this shit because I'm going to own a fucking empire one day. Yeah, that's different. You're still walking towards your mission.
Yeah,
one of the things that we do inside of our mastermind group is that we keep each other accountable, and we make sure each person has one task a day that they do their most important task.
Yeah.
And that is massive. And a lot of people don't understand it, but most important task is a building task. Mm-hmm. It's something that builds on itself. Like every day, if you're not like building, if you're not, let's just say, you're trying to build this giant wall that's your business, right? And if every day you're not taking one Lego block and sticking it on that wall and building another piece, then you're going to feel confused. You're going to feel like you're spinning in circles. You're going to feel like you could have done all kinds of shit. You could have fixed 100 dents that day, but you're still going to feel like you never got shit done. Because, yeah, you may have done the busy work, but you didn't grow your business that day.
Yeah.
So, again, going right back to the Creator being inside of us, we're created in the image of the Creator. I don't care what religion you're in, whatever. I'm not going to religion with you guys here. But, if you want to call it the universe, whatever you want to call it, that's fine, whatever. I'm just saying that we are creators, and we were created by the thing that created everything. I don't care what you believe that is. And that being said, it's our inherent desire to create and emulate the most beautiful creation that we see around us, and that's this world and this life.
Aww.
So that's the pull that we're feeling inside. You guys got to understand that. If you guys are feeling it, if you're not feeling it, then maybe you're a different, I don't know, because I can't live that. I don't understand it because I don't live it.
Yeah.
So I can really understand what I feel inside. But the people that I surround myself and talk to, they all feel that pull.
Yeah.
And that pull is the Creator that's inside of us that gave us the ability to create, wanting to live itself fully through us. Okay? So, I'll give you an example. If a child's sitting in front of a piano and he's pinging on the keyboard, and you say, what are you doing? Or on the piano, and what are you doing? And the child looks at him and goes, I can hear the music inside me, but I can't make the keys go right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Creator inside of him trying to signal that the art is actually inside of him. He just needs to work at making the keys go right. And then another thing is, I think a lot of people in business, you don't realize that this is like, like how many times do you think a baseball player literally swings a bat, like a home run? How many times did Babe Ruth swing his bat at a baseball to hit home runs? Fucking thousands, man. Thousands and thousands and thousands. Now, the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, you can fail over and over again as long as you learn from them failures and take them failures and implement them into your next strategy. All it takes is one home run to fucking win one time. It's almost unfair. Like you can, and that's the greatest thing about it. You go out and you fail and you're like, okay, well, you get to learn like that didn't work. Well, now I get a chance to go do it again and do it again and do it again until eventually something works and all you got to do is get it right one time. And you chalk everything else up as a learning lesson and you keep yourself moving forward that way. And but as long as you're moving forward, that call inside of yourself is being answered. You know, that voice inside of you that's telling you, you know, do it. You know, be bigger, be better. I want to live through you. You know, I want to live life through you at its greatest fucking, you know, measure that it can possibly be lived. Everything in this world desires growth. You align yourself with growth. Now, you align yourself with growth, but you align yourself with when you grow, you help other people grow. Man, now you're talking about taking yourself to the next level. Because when you align your growth with other people's growth, the universe now is like, I'm fucking amplified by this person. Yeah. This person is taking the growth that I gave him to be a creator and fucking amplifying it to other people. Yeah. Like now you're a fucking machine of creation. And you're creating other creators around you, and you're changing people's lives, and that's why I do this podcast, man. I want to amplify my growth through you. I want you to grow. When you grow, I grow. You know, I said something a long time ago when I first started doing dent removal training. I said, your success is my success. Yeah. And to this day, that still stands as one of the most important things I've ever said, because everybody's success is my success, you know? Like, I love it when people around me are successful. It's crazy to say this, but the people that probably don't like me, the people that are out there that are not 100% on board with, you know, the things I do, whatever, for whatever reason, I think a lot of it's some sort of jealousy or something like that. Yeah. Because I don't go out and seek to hurt anybody. And that being said, you know, I honestly, I want them to win, you know? I want them to win. Like, I love successful people. And, you know, it's just something that the moment that you, in your mind, you see some success out there, and the moment that your mind kicks in and you become jealous or you become hateful about it, you sink yourself way below the creator's level that's inside of you. You know, you put yourself on a level where I guarantee you...
That's some really good advice, babe.
Yeah, I guarantee you the moment that happens to you, look at what happened to your creativity at the moment that happens. When you dump it. The moment you start living on a creative or on a competitive plane where you got to kill people or step on their throats to get ahead, you lose all creative aspiration. Like, your creativity is gone at that moment.
Yeah, it's like you're basically just putting the flame out.
The creator can't live through you, because the creator desires not only for you to create that life and extend and live through you, but it desires that for everybody. You know, the creator's in everybody. Yeah. And until you align yourself with, like, what can I bring to the world for everybody? You know, what can I show up and bring to the world for everybody? Now, not everybody has to like you, and you don't have to care about that. But you have to like everybody and care about that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You know, you like and care about everybody, but you don't care if everybody likes and cares about you. Yeah. And once you get that, then at that point, you're ready to go to the next level.
Yeah. You said some really good shit there. You, like, went into, like, a nice flow state. Like, I was really captivated. I'm like, oh, this is where I've been wanting the podcast to go. And John Hiley went right into it. I was like, I'm not saying hardly anything, because I'm just going to let him go with this.
I'm just speaking what I live right now.
I know, but that definitely, but it definitely came from the heart there too. Yeah. Really good.
And don't get me wrong, guys, I've been in that negative space. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't drink anymore, is because I didn't realize that was a depressant, and it was putting negative thoughts and shit like that in my mind and my head. Mm-hmm. It's not for me. You know, you can call me weak, but I'll call myself self-aware, because I understand I was at one point smart enough to step outside of myself and understand how something was affecting me, and make the clear, conscious decision to no longer partake in it. Yeah. And, you know, that being said, that's no judgment on you guys, any of you guys who might do it, because you're different. You're a different person. If you don't feel that, then you don't feel that. Mm-hmm. You know. That being said, I mean, that's one of the big keys, is just learning how to be self-aware and understanding how you operate. Mm-hmm. And there you go. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have something fun to share with everybody because, like, so around like Thanksgiving, John's birthday or whatever, we went through like a bunch of like old photos from back in the day, and I found this card, and I saved this card, and I know it's like when John and I were first together. I'm thinking I might have been sick, but it was a Valentine's Day card. And for some reason, I always thought that, like, John got funnier as, like, the years went on. But he was actually funny, like, when we were first together.
I know, she came at me, she's like, oh my God, you were funny.
But it says, Happy Valentine's Day. To someone who has more than just a cute face and a wonderful personality, you have a great butt too. And that's true. And that's true. John wrote this. But this is what he wrote on the other side of the card. It says, Angie, I love you with all my heart, and I know you love it when I fart. As your love is so true. That's true. John. As your love is so true, even when you got the flu. So as I end this, I would like to say, maybe we should celebrate this like every day.
Woo, I was a poet.
I know. But then John drew a picture of a wiener, and then he put the arrow and said it was him. And you like drew some hearts and everything, and it says, Love, John Mack.
M-A-C.
But I felt like, I read this and I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know. I guess for some reason I thought that, like, your funniness didn't kick in until, like, late 20s, early 30s. But it looks like, you know, you had this funny sense of humor from, like, when we were first together. I died laughing, but I'm so glad
I'm gonna start trying
to
loosen up on YouTube a little bit.
I am so glad I kept this card.
I'm just gonna pretend you guys are my YouTube audience too.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You know, because in all honesty, when you have customers come in,
because see, it's like I know you guys. You know what I mean?
But like the customers that come in too, they always love your sense of humor. You're happy-go-lucky. I'm not saying like, you know, do it all the time, but you know, just let a little bit of that out, just a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's just, I think that's it. I don't like have a clear-cut picture in my mind of who the YouTube audience is.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna start pretending they're you guys.
I mean, you know, like nothing weird or like perverted or anything like that. Just like no.
Why in the world did you have to bring that up?
Well, no, like
I'm gonna get on there and be like, hey everybody, this is John with Dent Magic. No. Is that a gorilla grip in my pocket?
No, didn't you?
Or are you happy to see me?
No, didn't you?
Was that weird and perverted or what?
Oh, stop. Oh my God. But didn't you put out some video and you had in the background, it was like 70s porno music.
Oh yeah, I did that on purpose.
And that was horrible.
Yeah, because I always look on. Horrible. So here's a little trick. I always look on YouTube for non-copyrighted music, and I got a way that I can download the video and separate the audio from it. Well, I actually found some old school like Ron Jeremy, John Holmes porno music, and guys, it sounded like living room. It was like take a wow, take a wow, take a wow, and then it goes take you to the pleasure zone, yeah. Take you to the pleasure zone. I swear to God, dude, I put on my video and I was telling the wifey, I was like, I can see dudes watching this going, I might be gay. I don't know what it is, but I'm getting like a hard on when I'm watching this.
Oh, dear Lord. I was just like, you are not doing this.
That's me just subliminally fucking with YouTube.
Was that last year that you did that video?
Yeah, it was the pleasure zone.
Was that
pleasure zone?
Wait a minute, was that in 2019 or was that 2018?
Yeah.
That you did that?
I don't know. I think it was the beginning of this year.
Yeah, I think it was.
Gonna take you to the pleasure zone.
Yeah, for some reason that is like stuck and that's like embedded.
People
in my
are like,
head.
why am I watching this dude and getting a boner? This is weird.
Oh, my. You know, if you guys haven't watched that video...
Or they're like, this guy really excites me.
No, like, watch that video and then, like, let me know your thoughts.
I don't know which one it was that I did that to. I'll have to look it up.
I don't know. It's bad.
Nobody knew, though. Like, nobody mentioned it or anything
no,
like that.
I thought Ray Sapnew did.
Well, no, because I told him.
Oh.
Yeah. So...
Oh, I thought maybe he knew.
What you know about the pleasure zone, Sapnew?
Oh, that video.
All right, everybody. So we're getting close to an hour here.
Wow,
So
this
we're about to
went by
bounce
fast.
on up out of here.
Yeah. I guess so.
All right, everybody. I appreciate you for coming along in the Tactical Dent Tech podcast with co-host Angela Hiley.
Oh.
We're going to see you on that next one.
Remember, it's all about that motherfucking hustle.
Bang, bang.
God damn! Oh, damn it! Oh, I about said something really bad there.
Oh, you better say sorry right now.
Dear God, I did not mean to use your name in vain.
I am a Catholic priest. I need to hear more, young lady. Tell me something worse that you've done this week.
No, I've been good.
Come on, I need to go to the pleasure zone.
Oh
Pleasure
my God.
Zone. Pleasure zone. Pleasure
Dear
zone.
God. Oh my God.
All right, everybody.
We out.
That was worth it. We'll see you on the next one.
We out.